I'm going to chemist. You know she got plenty food for me to eat.
Mommy, will you make it again?
Lord, y'all been hounding me for this lasagna recipe, so here it is. To a deep pot, get you some butter and some grapeseed oil. Once the butter starts melting, add you in 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped garlic. You heard me, I said freshly chopped garlic. I know we like to do it the quick way sometimes, but that jarred garlic just don't do it for me no more. I don't know what it is. It just does not do it for me anymore. I cooked the garlic for about 2-3 minutes until I started smelling it. Once I started smelling it, I added my peppers and onions. And as you can see, I finely chopped these things. I mean, they fine like me, okay? Chop them wherever you find, unless you like big chunks of peppers and onions in your food. But I know how I am, and I know how my kids are, and we do not like big chunks of peppers and onions in our food. And when it comes to lasagna, you have to season every part of it. So when I'm cooking down the veggies, I'm going to season that with just salt and pepper right now. That's it. And yes, y'all see my fancy salt and pepper grinders. And yes, I'm going to add the Amazon link to the description. Don't worry. I really didn't add that much pepper. It just looked like I did because peppercorn takes forever to crush up for some reason. So I add just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Then I made sure to give that one good stir and let that cook. I want to say for about 3 to 4 minutes. I don't want it to get too soft because it's going to cook all day anyway with the sauce, with the meat, and in the oven. But I do go by smell. So when I start smelling the onions and the peppers cooking, I'll stop cooking them and add in my ground beef. So I did 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of ground sausage. Now, you can substitute these for however you want to. If you don't eat pork, you can add 2 pounds of ground beef. If you don't eat beef, you can add turkey sausage. All up to you. But as for me and mine, we like pork. And for this part, I started using my big wooden spoon to start breaking down the meat so that it will not be clumped together when it cooks. Now, I know some people have that little T-shaped meat smash thingy. I ain't got that, okay? I'm going to use a good old wooden spoon, which also is in my Amazon cart. And yes, I have my Amazon storefront link. Everything that I use in all my videos, I guarantee you it is in that storefront link. I'm not playing. Because I love y'all and I would not steer y'all wrong. Duh. So I did this for about 2-3 minutes. Then I let it cook for a little bit. And then I started smashing it again. And I want to say I did that around 3 or 4 different times until the meat start turning nice and brown. Because we are not putting any raw meat into our lasagna. Do y'all hear me? Make sure this meat is completely cooked. We are not doing that today. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week. And yes, I'm going to season it. Added about 3 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. And then, of course, salt and pepper to taste. Adjust it after the meat is fully cooked. You can start adjusting the flavors. And I'm going to say it one more time. After the meat is fully cooked, you can start adjusting the flavors. I started mixing my meat up again to get the seasoning in all parts of this ground beef and this ground pork. By this time, about half the meat has cooked down, so it started to have a little bit of oil from the fats at the bottom, which makes it way easier to start mixing and stirring everything together. And this is 2 pounds of meat right here. So it takes about 15 minutes to cook fully through. But once it do, it starts to look like this. It's still a little bit pink, so we're going to mix all this up and start chopping down some of the big chunks of meat. So we do not have big chunks of meat in our lasagna meat sauce. And yes, I know some people cook their ground beef till it's really, really brown, like all the fat soaks up to the meat and it kind of burns a little bit. I personally don't do that. I cook it down until it's just right, and then I drain all the fat out of it. Yes, I know the fat has the seasonings and the flavors, but it's okay. Now that it's cooked, I'm going to taste test this and then add a little bit more salt and pepper to get it to my liking. You can even add some more Italian seasoning at this point if you want to, but I thought the Italian seasoning part was perfect. It just needed a little bit more salt and a little more pepper. I let that cook for about 2-3 more minutes, and then I drained it on a paper plate and let all the fat get out of it. Then I added it back to the pan, fatless, okay? Then I added 4 cans of tomato sauce. Yes, tomato sauce, not pasta sauce. If you want to use jar pasta sauce, it's all up to you. I decided to make my own flavors instead of using the jar flavors, which I usually season anyway, so there was really no point for me to keep on using the jar stuff when I season it more after I get it. 4 cans is just enough to make it a meat sauce and not have the meat swimming in mounds and mounds of tomato sauce, and also not enough tomato sauce. I got everything mixed up real good. Then I started seasoning this as well. For the sauce, I used salt and pepper, of course, and then I added some Italian seasoning, the same one that I used earlier, and I added garlic powder, onion powder, and sugar. Yes, you heard that right. I use sugar in my pasta sauce. It's not to make it sweet, it's to cut down on the acidity of the tomato sauce. That is it. That is all it's used for. I only used 1 tablespoon, and this was not, nor did it make it sweet, not even a little bit. Then I added 1 tomato bouillon cube, and I mixed everything up really, really well. You do not want your seasonings to clump at all, so please mix this really, really well. After I got the seasonings all mixed up and incorporated, I added some fresh thyme and rosemary, and I put the lid on this thing and let it cook for like 35 minutes to 45 minutes. Let it cook with the lid on. Unless you want tomato plastered walls and stove, cook the sauce with the lid on. It would not be watery, trust me. Once that was done, it was time to start getting this lasagna prepped. I added a thin layer of meat sauce at the bottom. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to cover the bottom. And make sure you spread it out thinly so it won't be too much in one area. And this is the part where I know y'all love me, but I'm going to need y'all to stick beside me and trust the process. Please and thank you. Because I did not boil my noodles. Yep, what you see there is dry noodles going straight to the pan with the meat sauce. These are the oven-ready pasta sheets that do not need to be boiled. But honestly, if you're going to bake lasagna for 45 minutes to an hour, you don't need to boil the noodles because they're going to cook in the sauce, in the cheese, and in the oven all together. It is okay. Trust me, it was not crunches of pasta in my lasagna. It was perfect. I only added a little bit of the ricotta cheese because my sons and myself really don't like ricotta cheese that much, but we do like a little bit in lasagna. So I added a thin layer of that, and then I added some freshly grated Parmesan cheese right on top of that. And it's the fun part. You just do layer, 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 layer. After I add the ricotta cheese and the Parmesan cheese, I lay a nice size of the meat sauce on top. Now, you ain't got to be too thin right here, y'all. You can go ahead and be a little heavy-handed with this part. But no matter how you layer it, just make sure you are able to end it with the meat sauce on top so that you can add some more cheese on top. You do not end lasagna with pasta shells on top. Please don't do this at all. After my meat layer comes my cheese layer, which is 1/8 ounce of sharp cheddar and 24 ounces of mozzarella cheese. And y'all already know this is freshly grated cheese. Your girl don't play that bag cheese stuff. Now, I have used bag cheese before, actually recently, and I was so upset by the way the cheese melted. It really, really made me mad. I know y'all say, oh, it melts the same. It does not. Trust me, if you freshly grate your cheese by hand or by food processor yourself, it does not melt the same as that bag stuff that's covered in cornstarch or whatever else is covered in, so it won't stick together. Just please try it one time for me, and let me know how you like it. And now we're going to keep layering until we get to the top or to run out of meat sauce, whichever one comes first. I actually ended up running out of meat sauce right at the top, so it came out perfect. Now, while you're doing this, your oven should be preheated to 375 degrees. Please preheat your oven. If you know your oven, preheat it earlier than you need to. Because once you're done layering all this stuff, you're going to put some aluminum foil on top and you're going to let it cook in the oven for at least 45 minutes covered. And then you're going to uncover the aluminum foil and let it cook for 15 more minutes uncovered. And that is why I say let it in with the cheese on top, because you want the cheese to get this nice brown caramelization thing going on. And honestly, when I'm done layering everything, I kind of smush it down just a bit, not too hard, to make sure everything is compact. I put the aluminum foil on to where it's not touching the cheese because I don't want half of it to come off on aluminum foil, and I'd be really, really upset. And now you get to chill for 45 minutes, or you can start making the stuff for your bread in 45 minutes. Pull the roof off that thing and look at it bubbling and cheesy. I let it cook for about 10 minutes and then I sliced into it. Your lasagna should not be watery. If it's watery, you messed up somewhere in the steps, but it should not be watery. It should just be cheesy, thick, and delicious. And y'all know I love me some bread, so I paired this with some cheesy roasted garlic bread. Man, I was licking my plate. I haven't made or had lasagna in so long. I forget how easy, low-key it is, and just how delicious it is. And y'all gotta let me know, are y'all a lasagna middle piece person or y'all a corner side piece person? Because I ain't gonna hold you. I like me some crispy edges now. As long as it's as cheesy as this and as delicious as this was, I'm gonna eat the whole pan. And just like that, you have a delicious lasagna dinner for you and the fam. Make this and let me know what y'all think. I love y'all. All right, bye.